Antidepressants. I could talk about this for hours, but I won't. This was a study of 18 trials with over 6,000 participants. 8 of the studies looked at those who had painful diabetic neuropathy, a good number of subjects. 6 of them looked at those who had fibromyalgia. 3 of them looked at those who had depression and pain. And then 1 study looked at those who had central neuropathic pain. So the results, before we get to the results, sorry, I was ahead of myself. We want to look at some of the problems with the studies. You had a large number of dropouts, right? A large number of dropouts. And a lot of these studies were performed or sponsored by the drug manufacturer. So we've got a risk of bias. And some of the data was completely missing from later studies. And nearly all the studies had a dropout rate of more than 20%, which is a pretty high dropout rate. And the reason for that is the side effects. The side effects of these medications is horrific. I had a patient who had some pretty serious pain from a work injury, and we were working on it, and I knew we were going to get him better. It was just going to take some time. And his physician prescribed him an antidepressant because his pain had become chronic. It was more than 3 months. And he comes in to see me, and he was a really nice guy. He was the guy you want to be your neighbor. I just loved this guy. And I never got to meet his wife, but he was a great guy. And he starts sharing with me, man, I had some of the most horrific nightmares, like the scariest nightmares on the planet. I have no idea where they came from. And I asked him, have you changed any of your medications? He said, well, yeah, the doc just put me on this one medication. I pulled out my laptop right in the treatment room. I pulled up the medication and I showed him the side effects. And one of them was horrific nightmares, mental status changes, all kinds of stuff. And he looks at all these side effects and he goes, well, where's the good stuff? Where's the benefits? And I said, they're not really reported here. And he freaked. And I said, I'm not telling you to stop taking the medication. He'd only been taking it about 3 days at that time. I go, I'm not telling you to stop taking it. That's above the scope of my profession. You need to have a serious talk with your prescribing practitioner. So he stopped. He made his independent decision to just stop. He hadn't been taking it long enough. It was an SSRI, which could really mess you up if you stop suddenly. But because he'd only been on it for 3 days, he stopped, and he reamed his doctor out and said, why did you put me on that? He was not happy. So, but the doctor was doing what he thought would help this person because he thought it might, right? But we need to ask that all important question. So the results of these studies, diabetic neuropathy, when you see NNT, that means numbers needed to treat. So 5 people have to take this medication for 1 person to show a 50% improvement. So what that means is mathematically, and I don't have time to go into all the computations, it's about 18% effective. And then for these issues, it's about 13% effective. 8 people have to be treated for 1 person to show at least a 50% improvement. And with this particular problem, neuropathic pain, there was no effect at all. So antidepressants aren't really seen to be the end all be all, right? And of course, there's lots of other data we could present.